There's a concept in business called training your replacement. It means that at the end of your career, you should already have somebody picked out to replace you. Somebody who you've groomed to be able to take your spot and continue your work ethic and your level of success. At the end of the day, it's a generational idea. The idea that even selfishly, you should want someone to be able to continue your legacy and do what you do into the future. Teach them your tricks, your knowledge, and everything you have to pass on. Fatherhood is no different. At the end of the day, fatherhood is a generational game. Every son should strive to be better than their father. Every father should strive to make their son better than they were. You teach them the problems that you came across. You teach them your solutions. And you pray that they can solve the ones you couldn't. At the end of the day, we all want what's best for the next generation. And at the end of the day, the next generation will have to face challenges that we never did. The least we can do is make sure that they don't face the same ones we did unprepared. Every single day, you should be striving to teach your kids a new lesson, something that they can take with them and apply over the course of their life. Because at the end of the day, fatherhood is a generational game. You'll be gone, they'll be here, and you really should make it not as easy as possible, but give them the tools that they need to succeed. A child should outlive their parents. And by that virtue alone, they're going to need everything that you have. Every solution to every problem, every idea you've ever come across. There's a saying that I like. Everything was new until somebody told you about it. That's why it's called being a parent. I thought it was kind of funny because even the most obvious stuff, kids don't know. And it can be so difficult to set your mind in that mode of trying to teach the things that you've been practicing your entire life. Never, ever miss an opportunity to tell your child something that you're thinking. Because odds are, they won't come to the same conclusion themselves. Odds are you got taught by your father, or you had to learn the lesson the hard way. And if they have to learn the lesson the hard way, then they're right back to square one. I don't say this to be morbid. I'm not trying to get you to think about your death. I want you to think about the life of your kids, the generational advancement of society as a whole. Every generation should be better than the one before it in almost every way. There are problems that will arise that are unique to every generation. Lord knows we're facing a lot of them right now. But at the end of the day, the fundamental issues still need to be taught. You still need to teach your son to be honorable. You still need to teach your daughter to be loving. Every lesson you learned still has to be taught to your next generation of your legacy. Kids are our legacy. And if you don't make sure that they're on a strong foundation, then they're gonna fall back right to where you started. And that's an extreme waste. So I want you to take the time to think about the lessons you're going to teach your son. I want you to take the time to think about the lessons that you've learned over the course of your life, no matter how like short into it, you may be thinking that kids are 10, even 20 years down the line, and that's fine. That just means you have more time to learn new lessons that you're going to teach them. But you should write them down. Consider it another journal entry that's necessary. Hamza was talking about journal entry about your ideal partner, the father or mother of your children. And I feel like the same should be said for the lessons that you want to instill in your kids. Because it shouldn't catch you off guard. Good Lord, it's getting loud. I feel like they're doing it on purpose. It shouldn't catch you off guard that you have to teach your child something that you feel is obvious. Because it's not obvious to them. They're kids. It's not obvious that hot things are hot. It's not obvious that they shouldn't touch the stovetop while it's on. It's not obvious that they shouldn't eat Play-Doh. You have to teach them these things or they're not going to learn it. Which means when you learn a lesson, you should be taking the time to think about how you're going to teach that lesson to your son. Every time you come across something that you have to solve on your own or that your father taught you, that's going to be something you have to teach your kids. Unless it somehow becomes ingrained in their DNA, which can happen, you're going to have to teach them the lessons you learned. So it's probably a good idea to start keeping track of those before it gets to be the point where you need to be teaching them and you've forgotten all of the important parts. And that's actually a key difference between somebody who's smart and somebody who's good at teaching, is being able to think like the person you're teaching. There are some incredibly intelligent people who nobody likes to learn from because they keep saying, guys, this is simple stuff. This is simple stuff. You should already know this. Why don't you already know this? Well, it's simple. They don't know it because you didn't teach them. Sorry, my gimbal just fucked up. Oh no. They didn't. Are you fucking kidding me? Just lock. There. That's ridiculous. I just fucked up like 30 seconds of this video for no reason. I'm gonna have to cut that out. Alright, back on topic. There are teachers that nobody likes to learn from because they don't know how to teach people like they've never heard the stuff before. They are experts in their field and yet they can't relate it to the people who have never seen this before. Like a math teacher who just kind of keeps saying, what's 36 times 8? You should already know this. What's 36 times 8? And it's like, I don't fucking know. You didn't teach me because you're a shit teacher. You have to think like someone who's never learned these lessons before. That's what parenting is. And of course, experience helps a lot because it draws out moments for teaching. And that's why experience is so helpful. Every time your kid experiences something new, you have an excuse to teach them something. And so when they touch that hot plate and they burn the shit out of themselves, not only do they immediately learn the lesson, but you reinforce the lesson saying, hey, if you get your hand that close and it's uncomfortable, don't fucking touch it. That's probably just a good general lesson is, hey, if it feels bad to get near it, don't keep going near it. But yeah, I mean, life experiences will always be good teachers, but that doesn't mean we can't help. We need to help because there are things that your kid won't experience, and then they won't experience it until they're an adult, and then as an adult, they will have no fucking clue how to deal with it, and you'll already be dead. Fuck. That's something that's a nightmare scenario, honestly. That scares me. The idea that my son will be in a situation he's never been in before, won't have the correct mindset to be able to deal with it, and I'll be so long gone that I can't help him. Which is the entire point of writing down these lessons while we can. Is so that not only do you already have lessons to teach your kids, but you can teach them the right mindset to be able to learn new things as well. They should already be ready to live without you before you're gone. And of course, there are tragic things that can happen, like a father can die long before he gets to teach his son how to shave. But if you're there, it's your duty to teach your son how to figure things out. Proper research and teaching him the basics of how to be a man. So, learn how to be a man yourself and start writing it down. That's another required journal entry. You journal every day. You should be, at least. And if you ever have those days where you can't fucking figure anything to write about, so you start, going through the basics, well, this is one of the basics. What lessons have I learned recently? How can I apply that to teaching my kids? How can I apply that to the rest of my life? And can I make it worth my while? If not, well, I'm sure somebody can learn that lesson. Somebody will be able to use it. And that somebody might be your son. So, write it down anyway.